We'll start off with 20 breaths first, and we'll do a little bit of a longer visualization to start off with, and then we'll go into the discussion of Tethys. So make yourself comfortable, make sure you're sitting upright, and we'll start with 20 breaths, which is 4 short breaths, 1 long breath times 4. So let's close our eyes and start with a long deep breath. Good, and let's do 5 more of those. So just letting go with that exhale completely. And now, as you just keep your eyes closed, just stay internal in your body. Just allow your body to settle in and feel your body as if it were the earth, heavy in a comforting, pleasant way, solid, embodied, strong. So just feel that real presence of your body. Feel how your body is your anchor, your root in this reality. Feel the gravity holding you, pulling you down. Just really feel comforted by this holding presence of the earth, of your body. And of course we are so much more than our bodies, but in this moment now, just let your body represent your safe container. So scan your body, feel what's happening there. Perhaps there are ailments, areas that are tight, areas where there is flow. Whatever the case, just feel what's happening in your body, health-wise. And this could be specific things, something that's come up over the last days and weeks, or it might be something longer term, more general, that has been with you for a while. Just remember that your body is a container of information concerning your health. So this health, this information is intelligent. Give it space now. Listen to it. Let it communicate with you. And now, take a long deep breath. And with that breath, just disengage from all of those ailments, disengage from any of the tightness or heaviness, and just return to a place of peace and balance where you feel you are full, complete, whole in your body. And now settling into your emotions, feeling what's happening there. The emotions of today, the last few days, prominent feelings that are either uplifting you or otherwise that are bringing you down or distracting you or taking a lot of energy. Just see that myriad of emotions. Perhaps you even become aware of the games that your emotions play. Maybe there's a distracting emotion that keeps coming up, keeps pulling you off your center. Just acknowledge it, let it be. And again, take a deep breath now. And release on the exhale those emotions that no longer serve, that aren't your deeper truth. Just as your physical body represents the earth, your emotions now represent the deeper ocean of feeling, the deep waters of your being. And in this case, those surface emotions are like the storms. And as we settle in, maybe with another long deep breath, as we settle in, you go down into those deeper currents that are more truth-based, that are more integral to who you really are, as opposed to who you have thought you are. So breathe again to go deep into those. Good. And now as you feel this deep anchoring in the earth and in your own inner waters, you just notice that thoughts, distractions, the day-to-day intellect just kind of dissipates as you connect to a higher consciousness, that higher consciousness being your higher purpose, the higher intentions and prayers that you carry in your life, a higher knowing of what is your truth, what are you doing of a higher nature in your life, in the world. What are the ideals, and the principles, and the truths that carry you forward, by which you live? Give those space now. The distractions don't serve. And although we need to function in the world, and that's good and valid in its own place, just for now, put any of those thoughts aside and just connect with your higher purpose. As you take another long deep breath now, perhaps pulling down into yourself, into your body, more of that truth. You just expand your awareness to your soul, your higher self. That is the you that exists on other planes, on other levels. You don't need to understand what that means or know what that should be. Just get a sense that you are this continuum from a very solid body to emotions, to thoughts, and then that continuum continues up like a column of light that connects you directly to the divine, to God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it, to the great creator. And your higher self, your soul, is that link, that thread. So expand your consciousness now in this moment to see more of that connection. It's almost like you're broadening the focus of a spotlight. As you broaden the range of the spotlight, you can see more and more of your own inner essence. And that's not only about seeing, it's also about feeling. So now as you take another long deep breath, feel an expansion, a great peace. As you focus and concentrate in this way, you're calling in and invoking more of your truth, of your soul, in such a way that you feel so much more. So much more. And this inner essence, this inner knowing, goes beyond the rational. This is a knowing of your being. As you expand your awareness, how can you not know more of your true self? It's you. It's intimately part of who you are. Of course, you have access to this. And of course, you can cultivate this relationship with the higher dimensions of your own being. Just a question of giving it the intention, giving it the attention, expanding. And given that today's theme is around health and abundance, we're going to bring our attention back to the body just as it is now. And we're just going to start by visualizing, feeling, sensing that aura, that bubble of light that surrounds your body. I just want you to see how that light is crystalline in structure. Perhaps that crystalline structure is what your potential is, who you could be. That is the true thread, weave of your aura. And as you now concentrate on the true weave, the etheric aspect of the aura, maybe you notice that in your physical body, in your being, there are some ways in which that has been corrupted. Maybe lifestyle or decisions have meant that you've strayed from the ideal of your aura and therefore your physical health and physical body. So I want you to notice now a part of your body that perhaps feels out of balance. It may be an actual physical sensation that you feel that alerts you to this. Maybe an ongoing ailment that you've been aware of, or it might just be something longer term. But I want you to see now how this etheric body starts to repair the physical body and the emotional body. You might feel this as a tingling, as a movement of energy. You might see this as colors, healing colors. You might observe it, visualize it as a repairing process that's taking place. That light etheric structure is reinstating your true ideal health. Give that space. And as that continues now, it may not be fully complete. Just set the intention and ask your own inner healer, your soul, to complete this process over the next days and weeks. Just repairing the body, repairing the emotional, physical, mental, spiritual bodies that may work together in ideal, optimal health. So having started with your aura, with that bubble of light that surrounds you and holds you, having worked with a particular part of your body, now I want you to focus in on your brain, not the physical brain, but the crystalline structure of your consciousness that is partially housed in your brain, in your head. And at the very center of that crystalline structure is your pineal gland, your visionary center. This is the center of your intuition, inner seeing, inner knowing. And this might look and feel slightly different for different people, but see that at your pineal gland, that space between the two hemispheres of your brain, just behind your third eye, see it like a diamond or a glow, an intense glow that is the center. And from that center, there's a crystalline structure around your brain, your consciousness, that is a receptor of information from the universe, from the divine, from your soul. Perhaps now you want to take some time to hone those powers, those abilities. And although the intention is to strengthen your inner seeing, your inner eye, for the purposes of this exercise, just visualize that as a crystalline light structure that you're repairing or reinstating or intensifying, so that you can see and know and feel better what is truth, that you can live that truth day to day in your life. See that as a structure in your head, linked to your third eye, your pineal gland. And now see and visualize up and down your body, along your spine, column of light, this axis of light at your very center that runs through the middle of that pineal gland, connects all the different centers of your physical body and being up into the heavens, also down into the earth, which is your rooting. That channel of light reaches up, forms like a hole, like a flower that blooms upwards out of the top of your head and receives the light, the love of the divine. It reaches up to be nourished by that light and love that is beyond the body. And this is divine inspiration, divine grace that you're opening yourself to. And this is like a funnel, the narrow part of the funnel being your body, and at the crown of your head, the opening of the funnel that just allows in more and more of this divine light. And in fact, this funnel is dynamic. The light pours in from the top. The light also pours in from below, from the earth. It creates like a double-sided funnel, a torus structure, which is something like a donut of energy that is going up and down through your center, taking nourishment from the earth and from the heavens. And that center of your being, let it flow. Blockages that may have been there start to loosen and dissolve and move out of the way, so that this flow may be optimized. And just feel how you are now radiating this incredible light and love, this incredible well-being, this incredible sense of connection to the divine. And apart from the power of it, it's absolute clarity. It's an absolute sense of the knowing of the presence of your soul, the knowing of the presence of the divine in every pore of your body, in every cell, in every molecule in the life around you. For when you acknowledge the divine in this way, the divine comes alive even more, moves through your life with greater consciousness and awareness. And just let your heart overflow with the love, with the light, the exuberance of being alive. And this light, which is also healing, the power of healing, comes to you from the outside, from below the earth, from above, from the heavens, but it also is generated from within. It's a source. It has no beginning and no end. When we're in the flow of this divine light and love, when we're in the flow of consciously cultivating this divine aspect within ourselves, we give it so much more space and we allow it to flourish. We get out of our own way. We get out of the way of our own growth, our own beauty. We let those shine, so we may truly radiate the presence of the divine. Feel that. Say yes. Give permission for more and more of this, not only in your body, but also in your life, to be experienced and expressed as joy, as flow, as love, as opportunities, as bliss, as connection. All those things that are worth having. Just ask and you will receive. The divine is infinitely generous in providing. You just need to know that you deserve and that you have every right to ask. You have every right to be worthy of the love of the divine, a valued child of the divine, with a purpose and a mission. So now take another long deep breath and perhaps just gain a little more awareness of your body. Awareness of the room around you. And for a few moments you might just very gently want to open your eyes just a tiny bit, just so that you see a little bit of the room. Not returning yet, but we're just getting a sense of the world out there and the divine within, that we can merge today's experience with our normal day-to-day life. And close your eyes again, relax back into that space and allow that space. Give permission for that space to play a greater part in your life. Just become aware now of the parts of your life where there is flow. Perhaps it's relationships, career, or money. Just acknowledge where the flow is. Give thanks for that flow, for the doors that open, for the effortless grace. And spend some time now also looking or acknowledging the areas where there is not flow, where things are getting stuck, where you yourself or someone or something else is getting in the way. Just acknowledge those blocks and resistances. And now with your prayer and intention, just redirect some of that energy of flow into those areas of resistance, to open the channels a little bit more, to widen the channel. And in so doing, to just make space for the flow of the divine. And of course, give thanks for those resistances and the blockages, because they are also our teacher. They're also showing us something about ourselves. So give thanks for the lessons, but at the same time you may choose to approach these issues differently now. That birthright of free will is yours. Take a deep breath, giving thanks. Perhaps there's some message or some other information that you need to receive at this point. Let it come to you as a symbol or a knowing, understanding. Acknowledge it, let it be there. And then just aware of this light body, this crystalline light structure that is your aura, that is your inner being, which we've looked at a little bit in this session. Acknowledge it, give thanks for it, and undertake to develop it further. As you return, opening your eyes to the new. Something has changed within and without, and give that space now to unfold in your life. Good. I hope everyone had a deep experience there. That is meditation I've been working with a lot recently, and it's really been very healing, and I can really feel the power of that meditation in my day-to-day life. So today's theme, of course, is the goddess Tethys, who is the wife of the god Oceanus, and Tethys is the goddess of fresh springs, of rivers, and of the abundance that comes from the fresh waters. Of course, we as humans are fed and nourished by what fresh water represents. All life on earth is fed by that. So that, of course, does relate to abundance and the process of cultivation through our attention and intention of the aspects of our lives that are important. But most importantly, it's our health. And I'll talk a little bit about health from a shamanic perspective in a moment. But before we start, I'll draw a card relating to today or the next few days or the next few weeks. Just a card to give us a little bit of information about specifically what's happening now. And I drew Pontos, which is quite interesting. Pontos is the god of the sea, the primordial god of the sea, and of course that relates very much to Tethys in that it's a water god as well. And the water gods relate to the element of water, of course, and the element of water relates to our relationships with ourselves, first of all, our relationships with others, how relationships in general are affected in our lives at this time, and also on a deeper level, our intuition, those cosmic waters that move us, that kind of inform us. So it's interesting that card came up specifically with the Tethys card, and although Pontos is relates to the sea, which is the salt water, the sea is where all life sprang from on earth initially, and then fresh water is more specific to different areas of our life. Let's say a less impersonal expression. So what Pontos says, in this context, is that this is a time of emotional cleansing, emotional clearing in our lives. This is a time of focusing on those inner emotions that are holding us back for whatever reason, and just to really let go of them, to really see the games the emotions are playing in our lives, all the relationships, the way other people are acting out in our lives, and not get hooked into those old ways, because they don't fit anymore with who we are, with who we are becoming. So the real lesson is to let the new waters come in, let the new waters fill up this container so that the water can be clear and fresh, and that we can feel clear and fresh about ourselves. And of course, I guess the hardest part of that process is just letting it be, just forgiving. Very often we are actually addicted to our emotional self-reproach, or our sadness, or our emotional trauma. It's an uncomfortable comfort zone, but we kind of hold on to it because somehow that feels like who we are or who we should be. Somehow we feel some sort of allegiance to that emotion because it's, maybe at different times of our lives it's helped us or given us strength that we've needed. So it's saying let go of those. We don't need those crutches anymore. Those crutches are not, for example, what we just experienced in the meditation. They are not the divine. Those crutches are little mechanisms that we as monkeys have been able to use, and they've been very valid, but we've used them to survive. But we no longer need to be those monkeys that are sort of clutching around, using crutches, clutching around to try and find the answers. And again, that's a hard thing to let go of, because we are so attached and so identified with our emotions, that letting go of those now give an opportunity for purification. So maybe in your own work, in your own process, you want to actually do some water purification itself, and that in itself as a practice ties in absolutely with our theme, so I will talk a little bit about that. Doing some sort of flower bath or perfume bath is really powerful as a means of ritualistically, let's say every day for 3 days or for 7 days, washing yourself consciously. And one of the very simple ways to do it is just to get a bucket of water, put it in your shower, and put some flowers in it, or put some perfume, a natural perfume or essential oils into that water. Let it soak for a few hours. If you put flowers in, let them soak for a few hours, and then have the intention that that water is holding an energy of purification. And then literally take your hands in the bucket and just sort of bathe yourself, wash yourself with that water, with the intention that that perfumed water, which represents higher knowledge, is washing you, cleansing your soul, cleansing your inner being, cleansing your emotions. And of course, always when we do some sort of ritual, we are putting extra intention, we are putting extra attention into what we're doing. So we're kind of heightening and bringing more consciousness into that act. And because you're doing this with water, and your hands and your body are feeling the water, it gives it that much more power. It becomes something that's not just a visualization that you're kind of thinking, it becomes something that's embodied. And of course, when something becomes embodied, literally the seed is planted, so we can then live it out in our external worlds. So the theme today on health and how Tethys ties in with health, I think is a very important one. And as I mentioned, in shamanic traditions, there is the view that there are, let's say, spirits or little demons, or they call them diablitos in Spanish, which means a little devil, that kind of haunt us or attach themselves to us. And I'm not going to say they are little devils or little demons. I would say they're little demonic thoughts and little demonic patterns that we hold onto, but they act in the same way as, let's say, a little devil. So we can, imagine that these different thought forms, these different habits, these different bad lifestyle choices are attaching themselves in different ways, are creating heaviness within the body in different ways. And of course, especially when we're younger, we can handle it, and we can kind of throw off those, let's say, ailments or little diablitos. But a point comes perhaps where too many of them attach themselves, and one could say that eating badly, or abusing substances in some way, or undergoing a lot of emotional trauma weakens our ability to regenerate. It weakens our ability to throw off those bad thought forms, those diablitos. So if we imagine this process of, over the years, our natural immune system, our health being worn down bit by bit by bit, we can imagine it's almost like, cracks develop within our protective aura, within our contained space, and those diablitos can sort of enter through those cracks, and they can sort of penetrate our inner being. So that immunity is kind of worn down by our thoughts, by our lifestyle choices, by what we live every day in the world. And within shamanism, one of the powerful first steps of breaking that pattern, it's not necessarily about looking at or addressing, let's say, what those thought forms are. That would be one of the later steps. But the very first step is just to return the body to its natural ability to be able to throw off everything that is unlike good health. And of course, one of the main conditions of good health, or of being able to remain in good health, is good self-care, good self-love, the ability or the willingness to give back to ourselves in love, and to will the best for ourselves, for our health. And of course, that brings attention to what we eat. It brings attention back to our lifestyle. So the first step in this process isn't necessarily, let's say, the psychological aspect. It's just getting the physical body to be vibrant again. And that's why I worked with that visualization at the beginning of the session, because it's about returning to the etheric, let's say, preset that the body has. It's the preset that existed before we started doing damage to ourselves in different ways, be that psychologically, physically, mentally, spiritually. So it's kind of saying there is this preset, it's something that exists, but it's something that I don't necessarily always see, or it's something that I forget, or it's something that's been compromised in some way. So just the mere act of invoking that preset is a way of bringing it to life, because we're making space for it, we're cultivating it, we're saying, with my intention, I acknowledge this, and I make space for this to grow or to be restored in my life. And of course, that is light information that exists, that goes beyond anything that is material. And the body has an incredible ability to regenerate itself. Of course, the cells of the body are constantly regenerating themselves. I think it ranges from something like, I don't know the exact numbers now, but something like 7 days for the liver to be fully regenerated, to, I think it's about 10 months for the bones of the body to be fully regenerated. And so that's every single physical cell of those different parts of the body take a certain amount of time to be absolutely new on a physical level. But then, of course, the memories that the cells hold around different body parts are also regenerated. So, for example, if you've got an injury or a scar, those different, let's say you've got a scar on your face, those different cells in that part of the body are going to regenerate according to the information that's already in those cells. So the theory is that if we invoke the ideal, the optimal functioning of health, or the preset of those particular cells where the scar is, the cells shouldn't regenerate according to a memory. They should regenerate according to the preset. So that is when, for example, the visualization, the sort of visualization that we did earlier, becomes very powerful and very important, because we're invoking that optimal etheric body as opposed to what's happened afterwards. Again, there's no reason why the scar should be there except for the memory that's created. And that is one of the reasons why in shamanism as well, and probably most religions, the principle of death and spiritual rebirth are so fundamental and so central. Because when we die symbolically, and of course I'm not talking about dying literally, dying physically, I'm talking about when we go through some sort of spiritual death experience, in theory, we are actually dying to the memories that the body holds. We are killing off the memories. We're no longer acknowledging them, or we're no longer allowing that trauma that is held in some of those memories to be strong enough in order to be regenerated. So therefore, we are dying to those old memories, and through our consciousness and awareness, we are being reborn. Again, we're not dropping the body, we're being reborn, so that we can be reborn to the truth of who we really are, or let's say the preset of that etheric body. And therefore, we can have, greater vitality in our lives. We can sort of live according to our potential, sort of on, let's say, a health level to start with. But of course, health in itself is not only about what's happening in the physical body. Health on a more holistic level, of course, is our abundance and our ability to have everything that we need, to not be starved, to not be haunted by, the fear of lack or fear in general. And therefore to, sort of attract to ourselves the best and the most beneficial circumstances of growth and development. So abundance is, on the one hand, it's health. It's having abundant resources of energy and health in our physical bodies, so that this physical body, which is kind of our anchor in the physical reality that we're in, when that anchor is healthy, that anchor, of course, is a magnet, and that magnet attracts energy within this realm of the physical world. It attracts experiences and things, opportunities, people, circumstances into our lives. So when that magnet is healthy and crystalline and pure, what we attract is going to be reflecting that. And of course, when we attract difficult things into our lives, it's not always that there's something wrong in what we're attracting, or there's something wrong in our beliefs, and therefore we're doing something wrong and we should, judge ourselves or punish ourselves. No, it's just a feedback system. It's just a way of being shown what our deeper beliefs might be, or what we judge to be good or bad about ourselves or about life. And therefore, of course, investing energy into that, fearful energy. So it's just showing us what we're doing, so that we can do something about it, so that we can die to those belief systems and then be reborn into the preset of our potential, of that message that sits at the core of each and every cell of who we are, of what we should be doing, of what our soul is. And the flow in life, when things in life flow, when areas in life flow, it shows us where the abundance is flowing, where things are moving forward with grace. And where there is resistance, that is where we're being shown where we're getting in our own way, or where particular lessons need to be learned. Your lesson might not be just to get by in a particular area. Your lesson might be to really, do excellently in a particular area of your life. So therefore, what kind of goes for one person might not go for you. So therefore, there are also different levels and different standards of what represents blockage and what represents flow. And of course, the challenges are what push us towards cultivating and growing the best within ourselves. And of course, different people are talented in different areas. So one person might be pushed to excel in relationships, another person might be pushed to excel in spirituality, another person in career or health or teaching. So there are different standards for different people, which are determined by our different potential and our different soul contract in the world. So sort of when things are basically flowing really well in our lives, and that's a sign that we're in the flow, and we're in the flow of what our potential is. And there might be little hiccups and hitches here and there that are maybe just tweaking the journey and showing us, alerting us to where we need to develop. But of course, I think very often when people are sort of in when they have deep trauma, or when they're in beginning stages of their spirituality, that lack of flow might be stronger. And of course, that lack of flow is just a sign that so much more is possible. And I think usually people start to embark on a healing journey or on a spiritual journey because they know and sense that the level of the flow, which might be like this at a particular time, could or should actually be like that. We can actually broaden that channel. And people that are pulled into developing themselves and working on themselves, they're drawn to that field because they know there is so much more that they can be. Their potential, their soul is informing them that there is so much more. And that, of course, is what becomes the driving force to push us beyond our limits. Because many people are kind of in autopilot. They sort of say, well, this is how my life is, this is who I am, these are my limits, and as long as I get by, I'm going to kind of be fine, and I'll just kind of hope for the best. But when people start to embark on deep transformation, people are sort of saying, well, transformation is messy. Going into those places where there is stuckness and where there is ugliness and where there is pain is not pleasant. It is a messy process. But always, 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 when we go into that mess and we face it and we die to it, we die to our holding on to it, we can be reborn to the purer expression of ourselves and the purer aspect of that. So, I think that is, there's not many guarantees in life or in spirituality, but I think that's, in my experience, pretty much a guarantee. If you do the work and if you clean some of the mess, you are going to see changes in your life. And sometimes the mess is big and we've just got to plow through it. But always when we are working through that mess and when we're working through that transformation, we have the assistance, the support of the divine. We just need to make space for that. We need to be willing to call it, and we need to be willing to acknowledge it. And that does make the load less. It does make it possible for us to grow a whole lot more. But it's visceral, the messiness of transformation is visceral. It's something we need to get deeply in our body. We need to get it deeply in our lives somehow, that there's kind of a recoil in that direction. It's like, no, I don't want that. And yes, I want that. I get it. I feel it. When we have that deep visceral experience and a transformation that helps us drop some of the stuff that's resisting that or that's keeping us stuck in it, it's pretty much a guarantee that our lives change. Sometimes they're small changes. Sometimes they're huge epiphanies that open up whole new ways of being and whole new ways of seeing ourselves and the world and life. So we've just got to kind of, keep plugging away, and we've just got to keep holding the faith as to, this is my path, this is what I'm doing. I just need to keep showing up need to keep clearing out the stuff, need to keep making more space for the light, for the love, for the truth. And from there, it's pretty much a straight road ahead. It might be a narrow road, it might be a rocky road, but it's pretty much a straight road. So, are there any questions at this stage? Any comments about what we've discussed? It's kind of all very logical. It's kind of all very straightforward. It's, if you do X, Y will kind of be the result. It's not going to happen in a linear fashion, but the results are pretty much, I would say, guarantees if the work gets rooted in a very deep place within your being. My suggestion at this point is to keep doing the work. I will be putting this meditation up on YouTube soon, so keep working with that. I think in these times that we're in, visualization is a tool that really does benefit us, and it's a tool that we need to develop more and more, because visualization is about being able to visualize what could be, as opposed to with the external eyes just seeing what supposedly is. And I think in these times of a lot of media and a lot of noise out there in the world, we are being told what we should be and what we should see and how we should do things. And even the movies, it's kind of predictive programming. It's saying this is how the world is going to look. So it becomes really important to say to yourself, well, I'm going to start to learn to see what's happening in here. And as I can see this, as I can really see my true self, it's almost like you sensitize yourself to being able to see in new ways. Then when you can see in new ways internally, you can start to see those things outside that are confirming what you have been able to perceive within yourself. So visualization is really important because you learn to see and discern, but you also train yourself to listen better, to create the conditions for yourself to receive information from a divine source. And very often it's as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to go into my visualization, I'm going to get my balance, I'm going to get the clarity, I'm going to put myself in a state where I'm more open. And then just letting the symbols, letting the information start to come as pictures, as words, as a prompting, as a feeling. That visualization then creates the conditions for that to happen. And as we practice it every day more and more, those visuals start to get stronger and more clear and more focused until we can become incredible visualizers. And so that's definitely something to work on at this time. And of course, that implies learning to see the future that you want, learning to train yourself to expect the future that you want, or the conditions of what you want. And a very powerful principle and saying around that is the steps to getting there are the qualities of being there. When you live the quality, that is the step to you being able to see it in the world outside you, to live it in the world outside you, as opposed to somehow feeling separated from yourself and in your life. So visualization is really one of the keys in that process.